I'm a wife, a mother, and a teacher at the local high school here in Moultrie. I'm originally from Bowden, Georgia, which is in the West Georgia area of Carrollton. I moved here to Moultrie about 5 years ago with my husband, Jake. I was raised in the Baptist church with my mother, my father, and my sister. I went to Faulkner University after high school, which is a Christian university where I met my husband, Jake. That is when I was baptized, and my husband taught me all about the church and all about the Bible and what I needed to do. The biggest difference that Christ has made in my life is He has given me strength. Dealing with a chronic disease that I have to fight every single day, it makes it hard to want to keep going. And it's given me strength to every day wake up and know that one day I will have a life with Him, a happiness with Him, that I will not have to deal with this sickness every day. I will not have to give myself shots. I will not have to deal with the highs and the lows. I guess my toughest trials that I went to started in the year 2013. Jake and I were attending the Memphis School of Preaching. The night of his birthday, we were eating cake and ice cream and everything else with it, and I was really thirsty, and a lady there at the school had type 2 diabetes, and she said, "You have a lot of the same symptoms that I had when I was first diagnosed. Can I check your sugar?" Well, she got out her glucose monitor, and of course, it read high. So we went to the hospital there in Memphis, and they tested my sugar, and it was around 1,000. The doctors and the nurses could not believe that I was standing up, that I was laughing, and not feeling bad at all. The doctors then told me that I probably had type 2 diabetes, and they gave me a diet and exercise regimen to follow. They gave me medicines and sent me home the next morning. We didn't know what we were getting into. We didn't know what this was going to develop into. I didn't know much about diabetes, so I didn't even know what to even expect in the coming days. We moved off to Moultrie after we graduated. I had many nights spent in ICU once I got here. The doctors did not know what was wrong. They just thought that I was type 2 diabetic and I wasn't taking care of myself. But at that time, I had already lost a lot of weight. That is when we met a diabetic, I guess you could say a diabetic professional. She asked the doctors to run a few tests on me to see if I really was type 2 diabetic. Once those tests were ran, we found out that I was actually a type 1. So for a couple years, I was diagnosed incorrectly. I was taking the wrong meds, I was given the wrong treatments, and it was just making me more sick. Once we got on the right medicines and the right diet, things started looking up for us. We started trying to have a child. We spent about 2-3 years trying to have a child, which led to more discouragement for me and for Jake. We went through many nights of crying, many nights of pain, not understanding why God would not give us a child. Of course, Jake is the optimistic one, so he always knew that there was a brighter day coming, and that really helped me. But there were nights that I had friends and family that were getting pregnant, and we just had negatives after negatives of just disappointment. I finally went to an endocrinologist, and they put me on an insulin pump. About a week later, we found out we were pregnant. So we want to say that the pump helped me get pregnant, but I'm sure it was the Lord giving us Stone at the right time. I remember the night that we did find out we were pregnant. I screamed. I couldn't believe it. And of course, I had to take 6 more pregnancy tests to really tell me that I was pregnant, because I couldn't believe it. I think the night that we found out that we were pregnant was probably one of the best nights of my life. I remember that we did cry. We called our family. We couldn't believe it. We knew that there were going to be trials that came with that. Being a newly found type 1 diabetic, there was already trials, sickness and horrible nights that came along with that, but we didn't know exactly what to expect being a type 1 diabetic pregnant. It was probably, the pregnancy was going pretty good. Probably about maybe the 5th or 6th month of being pregnant, the doctors saw something in Stone's heart. There was a hole, which shook us. We didn't know what to think. So they sent us to a cardiologist, a pediatrician cardiologist. They confirmed that there was a hole there. They were given 2 options, that the hole could close up or Stone would have to have immediate surgery as soon as he was born. We, of course, were taken back by that also. It seemed that every single time we went to this high-risk doctor in Albany once or twice a week, we were always given bad news. There was never any good news that we were receiving. I remember leaving the high-risk doctor every time, just crying, asking Jake why the Lord would do this to us. And of course, Jake being Jake, he always had an optimistic answer. He always knew that the Lord was going to take care of us, the Lord was going to take care of Stone, and that always helped me. I remember going in the Friday before Stone was born. The doctor told me, we still don't hear Stone's heartbeat very well, but I want you to get some rest this weekend, and Sunday night come in and rest, and Monday morning we're gonna deliver Stone. We went in. They still heard that swooshing sound, which considered there was a hole in Stone's heart. They still couldn't get a good read on his heart, and so of course Sunday night I was worried all night long. Monday morning they were prepping me to go into surgery, and they did not hear a sound. They could hear his heartbeat just as normal as any other child. And about 10 minutes later, Stone was born, and he was the biggest boy I've ever seen. He was 10 pounds. He was healthy. There was no hole. There was nothing there. He was crying. He was just as healthy as any other child. And I remember thinking that, the entire time the Lord was with me, and Jake, he knew what he was doing. At that point, I knew that no matter what I went through and what was going to happen to me or Jake or Stone, that I knew that the Lord would always pull us through that. That being the toughest trial that I'd ever been through, He still pulled us through that. And Stone is now almost 3 years old. He hasn't had any major health problems. He's one of the healthiest little boys I know. He loves life. He's one of the smartest little boys I know. And so I know that no matter any trial that I'm going to go through from here on out, I know that the Lord is with me. And the Lord is going to pull me through it no matter what. And He always knows what's best for me. I would say the people that might benefit from my story the most are people that may live with a chronic disease that they have to fight every day. Or people that struggle with maybe feeling alone, feeling like they're the only one that's dealing with a health problem or a sickness or something along those lines. No matter the struggle, no matter the things that you go through, no matter the hardships, anything that you may struggle with or you have a hard time with, do not let it define you. I live every single day with diabetes. It's not going to go away no matter how hard I try. And I've had to realize that no matter how many highs or lows that I have to go through, that it is not going to define me and the person that I am. I'm still the mother to Stone at the end of the day. I'm still a wife to Jake. I'm still a Christian, and that's the most important. Tomorrow is a new day. Even though that today seems that it is one of the hardest days that you've ever had to go through, or you get the worst news ever, that tomorrow is a new day and that you can make it what you want it to be. I'm Missy Sutton. I'm a member of the Moultrie Church of Christ, and we are overcome.